This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Live from a very cold shadow of Detroit today, kicking off another brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show from the biggest foxhole of freedom, which always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? Times are always dicey these days. Who do you want next to you if it gets really tough? Lots of work to do, so let's get right to it. Three big things this hour. Number one, Indiana defied the oddsmakers and dumped Ohio State in the Big Ten football championship. Great game, by the way. A remarkable accomplishment. Now it's on to the playoffs that include a three-loss Alabama team, but not a better Notre Dame squad. Number two, the surviving National Guard member from the attack a couple of weeks ago is showing signs of improvement, but has a very long road to travel still. I'll have the latest on Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolfe. And number three, Democrats continue to defend Venezuelan drug runners over the interests and safety of American citizens. It's just one of their latest get Trump schemes. Trump's Department of War has executed dozens of strikes now on drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean over the last few months, and a couple on the other side of the country. They've killed more than 80 criminals who intended on flooding the U.S. with drugs that kill our citizens, including our kids. Senator Mark Kelly has made it his full-time job now to hop from network to network, blasting his disapproval of President Trump and insinuating that military forces are violating the Geneva Convention by obeying the president's orders without evidence, without a single example. By his own admission. Listen to this.
Folks in the military need to understand, the law of the sea, the Geneva Conventions, what the law says. And I'm concerned that if there were, in fact, as reported, survivors clinging to a damaged vessel, that could be, over a line. I hope it's not the case. I truly do.
Could Admiral Bradley resisted that order?
Again, I am, not sure of all the facts yet. I don't want to prejudge before we have all the information. I think it's important for there to be an investigation. The Inspectors General of DOD needs to investigate this.
I don't know the facts, but I want to smear the president. So allow me the courtesy just to tar and feather Donald Trump, even though I don't have the facts. And I don't know if it was over the line. Maybe. Just like Alyssa Slotkin admitting that she doesn't know of any illegal orders that President Trump has issued, but those two senators went out there and implied it. She has, Mark Kelly has, and encouraging the military to disobey him. Remarkable. The Department of War has released an official statement that is reviewing allegations that Senator Kelly has violated the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which he is under as a veteran, and other U.S. code violations, and that he is in danger of being court-martialed. You see, you don't encourage 18-year-old kids to defy the chain of command and expect for no one to say, oh, that's a problem, because it is a problem. Slotkin and Kelly and company are doing their utmost to paint Trump and Secretary Pete Hegseth as tyrannical maniacs without providing any context or just how corrupt Venezuela really is. Joe Biden didn't even recognize Nicolas Maduro as the rightful leader of Venezuela. You know that, right? All evidence shows that he stole the election from the opposition, Edmundo Gonzalez, who won the vote by as much as 2-1. The Biden administration did not recognize Maduro. He serves no one but himself. And those interests of his are directly aligned with that of the Latin American drug trafficking operation, which is massive, as you know. The Trump administration designated 8 different cartels as foreign terrorist organizations earlier this year, 2 of those Venezuelan, 6 more from Mexico. We've seen how Trump has handled Mexico with a lot of success, but he has stopped short of hitting the cartels there directly, at least so far. But tariffs, extraditions, joint operations, sanctions, and military threats have yielded some pretty solid results. Mexico has taken some responsibility, arresting over 37,000 drug criminals last year, broken up money laundering schemes, destroyed hundreds of drug labs. And we have seen a 25 to 30% drop in fentanyl coming across the border. Of course, the border's closed. And Venezuela needs the Trump treatment too, but first, Maduro really does need to go. Venezuelan officials have given Colombia their blessing to use their border to traffic cocaine into the United States. Maduro supports the presence of Tren de Aragua and the Sinaloa cartels in the United States, 2 of the worst criminal organizations on the planet. In the last 5 years, Tren de Aragua members have hit Americans with murder, sex trafficking, street robberies, violence. In New York and Texas, they've killed people in gang hits, murdered a mom, in front of her kid, forced migrant women into prostitution, sold lace drugs, and even tried to kill an ICE officer this year. The Sinaloa cartel's main damage has been fentanyl. Tens of thousands of overdose deaths every year. On top of that, the turf wars and kidnappings in Mexico have killed or terrorized dozens of U.S. citizens who crossed the border, with several high-profile abductions and ransom cases already this year. Now, this is something that the president rightfully is riled up about, and even threatening land operations in Venezuela several times now. I expect it's likely. Here's what the president said.
President, the boat strikes, if it is found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished?
I think you're going to find that this is war, that these people were killing our people by the millions, actually, if you look over a few years. I think last year we lost close to 300,000 people were killed. That's not mentioning all the families. Have you seen what happens with the families of not only the people killed, the people that are trying to get their son or their daughter off of this poison that they've been fed? I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those boats. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too, because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this crap, we know where they put it all together, and I think you're going to see it very soon on land also. Yeah, please.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the initial
No, I
strike?
support the decision to knock out the boats, and whoever's piloting those boats, most of them are gone, but whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country.
They are guilty of trying to kill people in our country. Do they ever ask about the American families who've lost sons and daughters, husbands and wives? No. They ask about the Venezuelan drug runners. I wonder if those families are concerned that these boats are being blown out of the water. I think I know the answer. A land operation would be a massive next step, and my guess would be that Maduro might be taken out of the picture long before that's necessary. But there are many Americans who think Trump should do whatever it takes to get him out. Venezuelan and Cuban immigrants in the U.S. are some of the biggest supporters of the president and his intentions to oust the dictator. They know the kind of evil that that man represents. In fact, President Trump was the first Republican presidential candidate to win Florida's Miami-Dade County since 1988, when he did it in 2024, in large part because of his promises to end Venezuela's reign of terror and its impact on the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he's from Miami. His parents are Cuban. And that's tightened the relations with Venezuela in the last several years, and he's playing a central role in Trump's pressure on Venezuela. We're going to talk about that when we come back. The Hispanic community knows how dangerous Venezuela is, and they know how deadly the drugs are as well, because they've seen it firsthand time and time and time again. Again, I ask you, shouldn't the Democrats be concerned about the American families who are burying their loved ones because of this poison? Shouldn't that be your primary concern? We'll talk about Marco Rubio and his approach when we come back here. Glad to be back from Washington. This is The Steve Gruber Show. All right, so Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of Cuban descent, part of the Hispanic community of South Florida, he says Venezuela has made itself a willing puppet for America's adversaries, like Iran and Hezbollah. Here's what he said.
The Venezuelan regime is a source of instability in the entire region. Over 8 million Venezuelans have flooded into neighboring countries as a result of the regime's activities within their own country, including into the United States. They also happen to be the foothold of Iran. That's not spoken about enough. Iran, its IRGC, and even Hezbollah has a presence in South America, and one of their anchor presence, especially for the Iranians, is inside of Venezuela. So
terrorists have planted their flag in South America, our hemisphere. Venezuela, one of the Western Hemisphere's biggest problems, because it's allowing influences from places like Iran. Even takes big money from Russia and China, also planting their flags here in our hemisphere. In fact, Donald Trump reposted the work of a columnist on his Truth Social that lays out how ousting Maduro is a great way to kneecap Putin. Trump obviously wants to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. He's campaigned on it. He's worked hard on it. But of course, we're not going to war with Russia to accomplish that. A direct conflict with Russia could lead to a global war. That much we know. But Trump has done a masterful job of picking off Putin's rogue nation buddies. If you remember, Iran was a client state of Russia. They've been denuclearized. Syria was a client state of Russia until Bashar al-Assad was overthrown, and now Trump has Venezuela in his crosshairs for plenty of good reasons, and putting pressure on Putin is one of the good ones. Some of you may just want Trump to reach a diplomatic deal with Maduro. Why the need for this great show of military force and the threat of a land operation? Again, here's Marco Rubio.
Look, at the end of the day, we're Maduro, and his problem basically is that this is a guy, if you wanted to make a deal with him, I don't know how you do. He's broken every deal he's ever made. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. If you can work out a way that, you can bring stability to the hemisphere, you can make Venezuela help be a country that isn't the base for Iranian influence against and activities against the United States. You could have a Venezuela that didn't traffic in drugs and didn't send people to our country like Tren de Agua gang members and the like. That would be great. The problem is Maduro has made 5 deals with different parties over the last 10 years and has broken every single one of them. The Biden administration made a deal with Maduro. No one talks about this. He made a deal with Maduro. Here was the deal. Maduro asked that his nephews, convicted drug traffickers, be released from U.S. prisons. He asked that his chief money launderer, his money man, his bag man, be released from U.S. custody before he stood trial. In exchange, he promised to hold free and fair elections. He got the nephews back, the drug dealers. He got the bag man back, and he never did the free and fair elections.
He stole the elections.
He stole the elections.
Yeah, he stole the elections. His word is worth nothing. Trump has offered Maduro a way out, an exit, if you will, but Maduro wants amnesty as well for over 100 officials and to stay in Cuba. Well, he would basically run a shadow government from there. That would be a win for nobody. You know, back in the day, Democrats understood the kind of danger that narco-terrorists pose to the American people. Let's go back to September 5th, 1989 on the time machine. Joe Biden, the Senate Judiciary Committee chair, responded to President H.W. Bush and his drug war address by pushing for tougher action, including no safe haven for narco-terrorists. No safe haven is what Joe Biden said. There was a time when Democrats cared. Listen to this.
Every president for the past 2 decades, Democrat and Republican alike, has declared war on drugs. And each of them has lost that war and lost it miserably. They lost because they attempted to deal with only part of the drug problem. They lost because their initiatives were pulled apart by bureaucratic squabbling among their advisors. They lost because they always did too little and they did it too late. We don't oppose the president's plan. All we want to do is strengthen it. We don't doubt his resolve. All we want to do is stiffen it. The trouble is that the president's proposals are not big enough to deal with the problem. We think we should do more to stem the flow of drugs across our borders, and we think we should go one step further. Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists. And they
hit them where they live. And in 1986, Chuck Schumer voted yes for the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act. Think about this. It authorized the military to fire on suspected drug smuggling boats. That's right, blow up the drug boats. The House approved that measure 392-16, and in the Senate approved it 97-2. And Schumer was a co-sponsor. Democrats are now playing dumb, trying to incite a civil war and encourage insubordination because they don't like who's in charge. They don't like Donald Trump. They're woefully downplaying the threat that Venezuela poses to America's national security and doing whatever they can to lay the groundwork for another impeachment attempt as soon as possible. I see through the spin, and I'm going to keep calling this out for what it is, as long as this sedition continues. And for people like Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And for Joe Biden, well, never mind. Joe doesn't know where he is anyway. But Democrats used to know where they lived. They used to think they lived in America. We'll keep an eye on it. What if the medicine that helped save millions during the pandemic was being made mostly in China today? It's true. About 58% of the world's ivermectin supply comes from China, 75% from Asia overall, but not the wellness companies. Introducing American-made ivermectin, safe, trusted, and produced right here in the U.S. Ivermectin has been prescribed globally for more than 30 years and even earned the Nobel Prize in Medicine for its proven ability to eliminate parasites and support overall health. New research also points to potential benefits for skin, immune, and cancer support. Most pharmacies charge $5 a tablet, but the wellness company is offering a higher 18-milligram dose for just $3 and 33 cents. You'll get a 6-month supply designed for 4 21-day cleanse cycles at an unbeatable price. Support American medicine, not China's supply chain. Get your U.S.-made ivermectin today. TWC.health/Gruber. You can use the code Gruber. You'll save $30 off, and you'll get free shipping. It's American-made. It's peace of mind. TWC.health/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. Save $30 off, plus you're going to get some free shipping. Now, when I come back, I'm going to start an argument with Brock Palmbush about college football. Something a little bit different today. I'll be back. Good to have you. You can find out more at stevegruber.com. You can also listen live there every day. And go to YouTube. You can watch the program live and in living color, as they say. So many different ways to get the program. Tell your friends and gather around. I'll be right back.